From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is a severe weather alert.
Good afternoon, everybody. Meteorologist Taylor Plott here alongside meteorologist Chase Wilson. 5:30, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that is just now creeping into parts of McNairy County. And this is for a supercell that's coming out of the Holly Springs area and moving towards the northeast. But also notice we have more tornado warnings that are creeping closer to our viewing area. It's still a little bit of a ways away. It's not going to be like here in the next 30 minutes, but probably here in the next few hours, we could be dealing with tornado warnings here for parts of northeastern Mississippi and northwestern Alabama. We still have that tornado watch that is in place here. And like what I've mentioned before, for the tornado watch here for Giles, Lawrence, Wayne, Lewis, Murray, and Marshall counties in our viewing area and points towards the northeast and even towards the south. Talk about Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties. That watch goes until 9 p.m. For areas towards the west, for Hardin County, McNairy County, Tishomingo, Alcorn, and Prentiss here in northeastern Mississippi, and points off to the west, that goes until 7 p.m. And again, the time now is 5:30. All right, let's dive into this supercell here, Chase, in northeastern Mississippi. Again, this is coming out of the Holly Springs area. It looks like there's two supercells here, one down here and one up here. So it could be two embedded supercells. That's what it looks like, kind of. And that had a tornado warning on it initially, and it's expired. So now it's just severe thunderstorm warned. So let's do this, Chase. Let's first do that motion one more time. Loop it for like a couple of times. Yeah, see, all right, see if you can do a squall track that just kind of takes all of it and kind of move it to the northeast. I think that might be our best bet instead of individually going into these cells, and move that whole batch northeast at go 40 on that one, because it's probably going to move a little bit slower than the actual individual. Let's do 45 minutes. We can at least get it into parts of our viewing area.
This is 45.
That's 45? All right, go an hour and a half.
All right. 90 minutes. That's just rubbing up against.
That's just rubbing up. So I can give a roundabout time at this point. So again, this is coming out of our viewing area. We'll eventually get into our viewing area. But new severe thunderstorm warning here from McNairy County. See if you can trim back.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get it to...
Try to find Selmer, or somewhere close to Selmer as like the first one. What we're doing behind the scenes is we can actually go down. You see all of those towns there. You can go down the list. Well, that's like the very end of the list. You can go down the list and select which one you want as that top line, and then it'll give you the rest of the counties, or the rest of the communities that are listed.
This will do us good. So many
That's a little bit better. So this is creeping in towards our viewing area here. So Reagan about 6:44, Winnesoga, I believe is how you pronounce it. Again, if I'm pronouncing something incorrectly, feel free to correct me. I will see the comments and I'll make sure I have a mental note on that. But New Lawton at about 6:48, Sardis at 6:50, Eastview at 6:50, along with Guys at 6:50, Alberton at 6:50, Cedar Grove at 6:51, Middleburg 6:51, Taylor's Crossing at 6:53, Morris Chapel 6:53, Caffey at 6:56, Adamsville and Lebanon right around 6:56 to 6:57. That would actually, I think that's in towards this area maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, Morris Chapel's right there. There's Adamsville. So that, again, that gets right up close to the Wayne County line. So if this continues to track in this general area, given it about a 40 mile per hour storm motion on it, it will probably get close to the Wayne County line, Hardin County line and north, probably close to 7 p.m. And again, it's kind of hard to gauge where these will actually be, because they're actually individual supercells that are within a line segment. sometimes they take a mind of their own and they end up doing weird things. So this one could like jump all the way to the north. This one could just take a hard right turn and go that way. So they can kind of do their own thing to an extent. But this is kind of a rough estimate here for this to get close to our viewing area here. Again, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for McNairy County for that cluster of supercells moving in. That's the only warning that's close to our area. The severe thunderstorm warning, by the way, that was issued for Lawrence, Franklin, and Colbert counties in Alabama expired or was canceled about, 15 minutes ago, I think. That cell has basically died. There's really no rain at all now at this point. A little bit of some areas of rotation here. There's a boundary right here that you see some of that velocity right here. There's a boundary in place. So if this storm or these storms interact with that boundary, they can quickly spin up a tornado. And it looks like this edge right back here is on that boundary. So there could be some circulation that gets going there south of Holly Springs. So the Weather Service in Memphis will probably watch that very closely. And if they need or feel the need for a tornado warning, they'll probably pop it on pretty quickly here. So again, just some areas of rotation. Let's go down further to the southwest because these are where we have some big time supercells going here. We did have a tornado on the ground, it seemed like earlier near Grenada. It's with this cell right here, Chase. So let's take a look and see what the velocity signature on that looks like. That still looks pretty decent right here. I have another area of rotation back behind it near northwest of Water Valley. So again, there's a little bit of rotation here on that supercell that's tornado warned. This is north of Grenada. It will eventually move to the north of Bruce, Mississippi. And if it continues on its current track, it will get towards the Tupelo area near Pontotoc, Mississippi. And if it continues further northeast than that, then it could start flirting with our counties here near Boonville, Iuka, and the Corinth area. Time of arrival on that, again, this is if it continues on its current trajectory. Like I mentioned, these supercells sometimes can take a mind of their own. They might go against where the other storms are going. So if this takes more of that northeasterly track and doesn't shift further to the north, you're talking about 107 miles until it gets to the state line here, right along Highway 72 near Iuka. That would be right at that 8 p.m. time frame. But again, I stress that is if it continues on this current trajectory. We've seen storms that have done that, and then they start shifting further to the north. So instead of going like this, and this, all of a sudden it starts turning like this, and that time of arrival will just cease to exist at that point. So again, I stress that is if it keeps its current track. It would get to the Alabama state line into parts of Colbert and Lauderdale counties at about 8 p.m. Again, these are those supercells back here towards the Oxford, Mississippi area. Backing things out further, there are no active tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings for our immediate area. The closest one is that one for McNairy County that could flirt with Hardin County a little bit later on down the road. This line, like I mentioned, it's still sagging its way to the southeast, but it is slowing down. So the time of arrival for this potentially is starting to get later. What looked like it could have been around this time that this moved through, it is now no longer that case, but it is edging itself ever so closely. And the thing that is catching my eye that we will have to keep a very close watch on is if this does not make it down to the US 43 corridor here in southern Tennessee, and these storms arrive ahead of that, our atmosphere is completely untouched. All the instability that is available is not getting used up by this line. It's all available for these storms coming out of Mississippi. So that ends up heightening the severe weather potential and tornado potential ever so slightly. That we'll have to keep a close watch on this. So again, that's what we're watching for. It's still going to be a while before those tornado warned supercells get close to our general vicinity, but it is something we're watching very closely. Chase, let's toss over to you real quick. I want to get your thoughts on what you're seeing on the radar, some trends. Just want to get your thoughts on this whole situation. Toss it to you.
Yeah, I definitely think that you're kind of on point when it comes to that slowing down of that initial north push of the line. Stand by, my microphone's off.
You getting on by? There he goes.
Should be able to hear me now, but I was just kind of echoing some sentiments he was mentioning earlier that I think that the northern portion of that line is definitely slowing down a little bit. We'll hop over here. By the way, there's that northwestern cell. Look how fast that died, right? I mean, that thing pretty much clicked out of existence just like that, so that's no more of a concern. But up here, we do see a little bit more of convection going on in southern Middle Tennessee. Have a few lightning bolts there near Walnut Grove. Actually, you mentioned that just a little bit ago off screen behind the scenes. But in the meantime, yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye, I guess, on these things here too, because they could do the same thing as that northwestern Alabama cell and maybe pop a severe thunderstorm warning or two. So that's sort of round 0.5, if you will. And then round 1, the initial push here will be probably over the next few hours, next 3 or so hours. It's going to be the time frame to watch. So all of things considered right now, not seeing too much of concern. I'll tell you what, this much is for sure. This stuff up here is what we call kind of elevated. I don't think this is much worry. So Hohenwald up in Murray County, northern Wayne County, Savannah, it's going to be loud. It's going to be thundery out there, but I don't think we have trouble out there as of right now. So we'll keep a very close eye on things as this tornado watch persists until 9 p.m. and we'll probably go till a little bit later as well.
Let's pop on, if you can, the Waynesboro camera.
Absolutely.
And I think if you're able to, behind the scenes, see if that's actually pointing to the southwest towards that cell. I'm seeing some people talk about that.
Yeah, sure.
And while you're doing that, this new flash flood warning. This is from Katie McGee over at the Weather Service in Huntsville. They're saying, looking at the environment, these isolated showers and storms are moving into. It's pretty dry in the low and mid levels, which make it hard for a tornado to develop. That's that higher cloud base that we were talking about. Is that southwest?
That's southwest right
That's
there.
southwest. All right, that's going to be that cell that's coming in. I wanted to take a look at that isolated cell ahead of the line. There's a very narrow corridor of favorable moisture just along ahead of the line of storms, which is where our tornado potential will be maximized. If one of those smaller cells passes over your area in the next 2 to 3 hours, main threat will be heavy rain, hail, and winds. As for the initial line of storms, it's slowly tracking eastward. More intense portions should enter northwest Lauderdale County in the next 90 minutes. That's an hour and a half. That's kind of what we're talking about, getting close to that 7 p.m. time frame, 8 p.m. time frame potentially. The northern portion of it is starting to surge out ahead, while the southern storm cluster currently over Yalobusha County over there in Mississippi. The more tornadic currently storm will track more through more of our area, and they say they will work with the Storm Prediction Center on a watch extension in the next 90 minutes to 2 hours. So they will be issuing a tornado watch at some point down the road. So what they're mentioning is these cells, that one right over here, that would track more towards the bulk of their counties. So that would be Lauderdale, Colbert, maybe Franklin, but it's these northern parts that could get a little bit closer. They're saying it could be in the next 90 minutes. So I would say it's 5:42 right now. There's a chance that those storms could be creeping into the state line of Mississippi and Alabama and Tennessee, that kind of tri-point area right in here. I would say probably close to 7 p.m., maybe 7:30-ish. Again, we're tracking these as they go, and so it's just kind of now casting. And like I said, some of the times, especially in this type of setup, the individual storms will start doing their own thing. They might speed up out ahead of the line. They might, lay back a little bit, slow down, move to the right, move to the left. But as a general consensus, this should start to get close to our area probably within the next 90 minutes to 2 hours, I think. So again, we're watching things very closely. Did you see anything interesting on that Waynesboro camera? I know you kind of switched back.
Away from it, the cloud base is very, very, very high.
They are very high, yeah.
I don't think we'll see too much there, but I'll keep an eye on it there just to see how it evolves.
Yeah, and we'll be keeping a close eye on that. But like they said, the cloud bases for these cells out here, they're a little too high for tornado potential, but it could maximize that damaging wind and hail threat. But again, we'll watch things very closely. I would say any tornado potential would be confined to these cells that are moving across parts of northern Mississippi. But again, we'll watch things very closely. And like I said, there's no active warnings for our area. The closest one is here for McNairy County. And we gave you a storm track on that, and that could end up getting into parts of Hardin County here in the next 30 minutes to 45. Well, I say 30 minutes, 45. It's actually this batch back here. That's probably close to an hour and a half by the time it gets close to Hardin County. So you still got some time before you see some severe weather potential. But again, we're watching things very closely. There's no active severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings for our area, just flash flood warnings, which we've stressed could end up being the big risk for our Tennessee counties as we go throughout the remainder of the afternoon and evening. All right, we'll toss it back to programming here, unless, Chase, you had something else to add. You're good over there? All right, we'll toss it back to a regularly scheduled program. We'll be back on here at around 5 o'clock to give you another update on that. So again, we're watching things closely. We're not going anywhere. We're just taking a quick break here. So for meteorologist Chase Wilson, I'm meteorologist Taylor Plott. Thanks for sticking with us here at the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. We'll keep you advised.
You're watching